If you're building an Android app, it's a good idea to use a version control. So I've used Git for a number of years now. It's what I use for my web development and now my Android apps and stuff. You can use Git for anything. So in this video, I'm going to be going through what Git is and how you can build a better app and go back in history and all kinds of stuff. I'll just be talking about Git in general. So if you don't have Git installed, you can go to this page here, and I think I have the URL here. So you can just go to this URL, downloads, and go ahead and download Git for Mac, Windows, or Linux, or whatever system you're on. You can go ahead and get started with that. But with that, let's just go into Android Studio, and I'm going to walk through what exactly it does. So I'll call this Git. I'll just name it Git, next, basic activity is fine, and finish. And this will open, oh, there's one thing I need to point out. So when you download Git, go ahead and download it for like Mac or Windows or whatever, and then open up your terminal and then paste in this command right here and leave the quotes there, but make your name, set it to your proper name, and then also paste this in your terminal. You just open up terminal and you can get there that way, or I use iTerm. So whatever terminal you use, just open up terminal and let's see, I go back. Okay. Good. Okay. So this opened up. So so just basically paste in that line. Select this line right there, and then this line, and be sure to just change your email address for whatever your email address is. Okay. So with that, I'll assume you got set up with Git. So I'm just going to go over a brief overview of what it does. So I'm going to go ahead and use iTerm, but if you want to use the built-in terminal at the bottom of Android Studio, just click terminal right here, and you can do the same thing. So cd git status, you can type in your commands there. I'll be going over what the commands need, but just so you know, I have iTerm open up, iTerm 2, I think version 3 or whatever is the latest. But yeah, if you want to type in these commands, instead of doing it here, if you want to do it inside of Android Studio, you can just go inside of terminal and type in the commands. And it looks a little bit messed up because I've been messing with my configuration a little bit, but you can type in the commands there. Okay, so what's the first step we need to do? So first, let's cd into our directory. So that means change directory. So like ls, let's do, what do we call it? So it's in Android Studio /git there. Okay, so cd git. So now if we do present working directory, pwd, you can see, yeah, we're in Android Studio, Daniel Malone, Android Studio, Git. So we're in there now. So with Git installed, you have a lot of commands. And by the way, some of this stuff is built into Android Studio, but I don't usually use it. I usually just use the terminal. So let's go ahead and go to git status. Just type git status and it says, hey, nothing's working, nothing will work. Not a Git repository, git add, not git status. Nothing is going to work until you do git init. That initializes a Git repository in the current directory. So just git init and it says initialized empty Git repository and you're good. So, but make sure you're inside of Android Studio or whatever your project is within your project. So if I go back to here, I can see I'm in Android Studio and Git. So you just want to make sure you're in the root directory. And you can do pwd to get your present working directory, and you'll say, hey, we're inside of Git, so we're good. So now I'm going to do, I'm just going to briefly go over some commands, and then I'll explain them a little bit later. So let's do git status, and this is a pretty safe operation. Generally, wherever you are, you can always do git status, and it'll tell you what your status is. So you can see here we have some files. Kind of what does this mean exactly? Well, let's do something. Let's do git add dot. Now let's do git status again. You can see, hey, we have new files. We have tons of new files, about 20 new files. And what are all these files? We have git ignore, we've got build.gradle, we've got main activity, we have some unit tests, we have drawables. What does all of this mean? Well, basically it means, hey, inside of our Android Studio project, we have tons of files here. All of these files are going to be inside of a Git repository. So all of Android manifest, all of main activity, we have some drawables in there, we have our layouts. All of this is going to be in a little snapshot. So let's do git add dot. That'll add everything. Now we'll get, oh, we already did that. Git status, and let's do git commit -n. We'll call this initial commit. So now what that just did, what that command git, I'll just go up to it. This command right here, git commit -m initial commit, that says, hey, get all of the files, all of these files here, and make a little snapshot of them, because and you can do this every hour, or you can do this about once a day. It kind of depends upon how your project is set up. Now, from now on, the important thing, whenever you want to go back, you can always go back to the snapshot. So you're probably a little bit confused. So let me break this down. So git status. You can type git status, and it says on master branch, nothing to commit. Let's go ahead and do git log. And here we see, yeah, we have our author, we have a date and everything, and we have initial commit. And this special thing goes along with it. It's kind of like it's a key that goes along with it. Let me see if I can make this a little bit clearer. So here in our layout, we have a hello world. Actually, let's do something else. Let's go into just modify a file. Let's go background color, and we'll name this. This is terrible design, but we'll just make it red. So now you can obviously tell, hey, we made a change to the Android layout file. I mean, this is not what it looked like. It doesn't look very good at all. It looks terrible, but for this example, it will work. So now let's go back into, I'm going to go back to terminal. And again, if you're not in terminal, just open up terminal at the bottom. You can do all your commands there, but I'm going to use iterm, and let's do git status. So now it says, hey, modified. What's modified? Content main.xml. If we go back to Android Studio, you can see, yeah, we made this red, and sure enough, look at that. See content main.xml? We changed it. If I go down to the text view, yeah, we changed it to red. So go back to terminal. It's basically telling us, hey, since the last time you checked your files, since the last time you committed your files, something got changed, something got modified. What is that? So what we can do is we can go git diff, and this will tell us the differences. And you can see that little plus sign right there. It says, hey, you added the color red there. And sure enough, if I go back to inside of Android Studio, you can see, yeah, FF0000, I added that, and go back to terminal, and yeah, sure enough, I added a line there. So let's go ahead and do git add dot, that'll add everything. Now we can get status, and it says, hey, modified, changes are ready to be committed, everything is good. Let's do git commit -m. Let's do make background color red. So what does this do? And I'm pressing, on Mac, I'm doing Control L to go up to the top and kind of clear out my console again. But now if we do git log, we can see at the bottom, first we have our initial commit. So that's the commit we made a few minutes ago. And then now we have a new commit, and it says make background color red. So now we're having, and I'm going to go ahead and do git log one line, and you can see, sure enough, that's our first commit. Then this is where we made the color red. Let's make some more changes. So I'm going to go back to here, and you can see this is clearly red. It looks terrible, but let's go ahead and go into the text view, and let's make it a different color. Let's make it 0000FF. So this is a blue now. So obviously something changed. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back into back into terminal, and I'm going to do git status. And sure enough, hey, a file is modified. Actually, let's make some more modifications. Let's go into values and colors. And I want to change the header color there. So I'll just make it, let's make it red. Let's make it red. Just a solid red is good. I'm going to make that all the way red. And I'm going to make this, I'll make it black. So obviously we made some changes. And if you go back here, you can see, yeah, that the colors got changed. Actually, let's not do that. Let's just do ugly yellow. So this is terrible design. Don't ever do this. But I'm just trying to make the point that some colors got changed. So random colors, so there are random colors everywhere. Obviously something has changed, right? You can tell. So let's go back into terminal, and let's do, I'm doing Control L, that'll clear out the terminal, and so just so it's a clear space, undo git status. And you can say, hey, two files were modified. So yeah, sure enough, our content main file.xml got changed, but we also modified colors.xml, and sure enough, there's our colors.xml file, and here's our main content main.xml. So both of those got changed. And so now let's do, so if you do git status, yeah, so we learned that command. You can see what files changed. Now let's do git add dot, that'll add all the files in. So now if we do git status, you can see that we actually have, these two files that are modified, and it's changes to be committed. So let's commit something. Git commit -m, we'll do make weird colors. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and you can name this anything. You can name this really anything that you want to. But let's go ahead and do enter there. And so now let's do git log. And you can see, hey, so the first commit we made, that was a little while ago. So first we did initial commit, then we made the background color red, then we made it weird colors. So now you can kind of see how this is helpful. So you can get git log, one line, I'll make it all on one line. So first we did that, then we did that, and then we made the weird colors. So say we don't like the weird colors, but actually, so first of all, we can compare stuff. So let's go git diff, and first I'm going to copy these random numbers right there, and that's kind of reflective of the make background colors red. So that right there you can copy and paste. That represents make background color red. So now I'm going to copy the hash up here where make weird colors. So I'm going to copy the numbers right there and space, and I'm going to do that, enter, and we can see the differences between these two commits. So I can make my color, I can do the arrow keys on my keyboard. I can go up and down, and to get out of this, hit Q, and you can see that, hey, sure enough, yeah, we made some changes. We changed that line right. We changed that, and the minus means you got rid of, the red means you got rid of that line, and the green means that you added a line. So yeah, sure enough, we got rid of the old red and we made the new green, and then sure enough, we changed those colors there to something else. So I'm going to go ahead and do git status and nothing to commit. So let's say you want to go back. So let's do git log. And so now you kind of get the concept of now, you kind of make little snapshots of your code. So say you want to add a new feature, you edit your main activity, you add some Java or Kotlin code, you work on it for 2 or 3 hours, and you say, hey, so the feature that adds store locator is, the store locator is done. Let's go ahead and make a commit. So you might go into Android Studio and you say, maybe let's make this a button, and let's do text size 30 SP, and we'll call this store locator. So maybe that's a feature you just added in. So now we have a store locator feature. And say this took you 2 or 3 hours, and you say, hey, this is an important change. Every time, say a month from now, I might want to go back and see what this change is. Or maybe even tomorrow you might want to say, hey, let's not do store locator. Let's get rid of that feature. You might have spent a couple of hours on that, and instead of manually going in and out and just pasting and copying and deleting code, we can make a commit. So let's go back to terminal and we'll git status. And sure enough, there's the file that got modified. And you can modify dozens of files, hundreds of files. It doesn't matter how many files you modify. Let's do git add, git status, git commit. We'll do add store locator feature. We'll just name it add store locator. So I hit enter there. So let's do git log. And you can see, yeah, so there's a first commit, there's our second commit, there's a third commit, and here's a fourth commit. So say you look at the store locator and you're kind of like, you know what? I didn't really like that store locator. Let's just go back. So now let's do something. So where do you want to go back to? So because we made a commit, we can go back to that commit. So let's say this commit right here, make weird colors. Or actually, let's do, you know what, I don't really like that commit either. So I want to get rid of both of those, and I want to go to this commit right there where we made the background color red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, so all this that's selected right here, this is all one commit. So I'm going to copy this line right there, and we're going to do this. We're going to do git reset hard, and then I'm going to paste in that value. So I'm going to hit enter, and boom. So now let's do this again. Let's do git log. And you can see, hey, we only have 2 commits. What happened to our weird colors and store locator? Well, if we scroll up a little bit, this git reset hard, it says, hey, go back to that commit. I don't like the latest 2 commits. We're going to go back. So now if I go into Android Studio, you can see, hey, sure enough, Android Studio just switched it out. Now we're back to that red background color. So that's exactly what we wanted, because we don't like those other 2 commits. And so that, I guess, is kind of it. That's your kind of introduction to Git. So the main things you're going to be doing is, so first do git init, but I already did that. That's the first commit. That's the first step. Then you do git status, and you can see what changed. So you make your change. You go into here. Actually, let's make it just make it some gray color. So that looks interesting. And maybe let's also let's make it a button, and let's do text size. We'll name it 38 SP. We can do anything you want. You make all your changes. There's our changes. Go back into Git. We can run git status, and we can see, hey, yeah, we modified a file. That's good. We'll do git add everything. We can do git status again. We can see, hey, it's ready to be committed. Let's do git commit -m add gray background. And now let's do git log, and you can see, yeah, sure enough, there's our first commit. There's our make background color red, and there's our gray background. So this is a little introduction to Git. So the commands that I just did was, you first, you can always run git status to see what your status is. So if you ever want to go back, you just want to see, hey, what's been modified, or what are some recent changes, you can just do git status. Then you make your modifications. So you go into Android Studio, you go into the files, you go in there, you delete stuff, you do changes, whatever you want to do. Then you do git add dot, that is everything, and you can run git status, and then do git commit -m, and then in quotes you can add a message there, and then you can run git log, and that'll add the commit, and then you can run git log, and you can see your commit. So there's one commit there, there's two commits. That's actually in reverse order. This is the first commit, this is the next commit, and this is the next commit. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so I'm trying to think of what else I can show you. Some of this stuff is built. Oh, I just want to be clear. So if you don't have iTerm, or you don't want to use terminal, you can just open up terminal by clicking the button right here, and you can type out your commands here. So git status, git log, everything will work right there. To get out of that, hit the Q key I forgot to say that. But yeah, this is your introduction to Git. So that gives you a little overview of kind of what Git is and why you'd want to use it. You can be working on projects for a number of years, and you can have hundreds, or you can have hundreds of commits, because say every day you're making changes. So say you add a store locator feature one day, and then the next day you add some GPS for your fitness app, and then you update the APIs. So you're making a couple of commits every day, and you can always do git log to see a log of what's going on. Now there's more advanced stuff like git branches, where you can think of kind of like say you have two different people working on the same project. They can both have a Git branch, and they can be working on their own independent computers on their own Git repositories. But then, but at the end they can merge it together. So actually, let's do something else. Let's go to GitHub. And so if you don't have a GitHub account, you can just sign up for one. But I'm going to get a new repository. I'll call this Git and GitHub and I can't spell. And so I'm going to go ahead and make it a public repo, and I'm going to go ahead and so basically you just sign up for GitHub. You can put in your you can just create a name. Now your username is always going to be whatever you set it up to, but name a repository. I'm going to make it public, and I'm going to click create repository. And if we refresh this, you can see, yeah, it's at github.com/ then your username, which in my case is Daniel Malone, then the name of your repo, whatever you just called it. Like we called it 10 seconds ago, we called it Git and GitHub Android. So this will tell you some of the steps you can do. What we need to copy in our case is that right here. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back over to iTerm, and I'm going to paste that line in, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, now let's go back to GitHub. And we'll notice that, hey, this is just the setup page. Our code isn't here. And if I go to refresh the page, you can see, yeah, there's nothing there. So let's do something. Let's do git push origin master. And let's run that command. And this might take a couple, so it just finished. And that might take a couple of seconds, depending upon how fast your internet is. So mine is pretty fast, so it works. I have Google Fiber. So now I'm going to go back to GitHub, and I'm going to click refresh. and you can see, hey, here's all our code. You can see we can browse into our code. We can just like we can in Android Studio. We can go into layouts, content main, and you can see, yeah, here's our button that we added. You know, hello world. We made 38 SP. So we can always go back to this URL, and if I'll keep this up. So if you want to, I'll put this in the YouTube comment or not the comments, but the description. So if you want to go to this URL, you can go to this URL and see the code I just created. And if you want to see the commits, just click right